Ladies and gentlemen, this morning, as I do every year, I have a responsibility as president to deliver an annual report to you. And as I said last night, it is certainly always our desire that this whole convention would capture much of what has happened in Farm Bureau over the past year. Charles Dickens opened his book, A Tale of Two Cities, with the famous quote. Many of you know it. It was the best of times, and it was the worst of times. I think that this quote accurately describes 2018. Organizationally, we have had the best of times. We are in our second consecutive year of exceptional membership growth. In January, we will report 568,255 members at the American Farm Bureau Convention. Let me get that again. 568,255 members to the American Farm Bureau. This is an increase, ladies and gentlemen, of over 30,000 members over the past 2 years. Our membership growth, I believe, is accredited to the support of our county farm bureaus, all of you out there, an active agency force, and to some degree, the population growth that we have here in North Carolina. As one of the largest state farm bureaus, we are proud to be a part of the American Farm Bureau. In just a few weeks, in January, we're looking forward to celebrating the 100th anniversary of the American Farm Bureau in New Orleans. Our strength as a national organization of farmers is attributed to the united efforts of all 50 state farm bureaus being united together. Our organization, I can tell you, has not come as far as we have come as an organization in this state by just remaining the same. All of you know that the internet and social media have become norms in people's lives. This year, we have strengthened and we have formalized our communications department, including ramping up our communications via the social media. I have received numerous compliments that we are now more visible on our communications about Farm Bureau and about agriculture in North Carolina. We have had another great year in terms of leadership development. Our young farmers and ranchers, our collegiate young farmers, the Women's Leadership Program, our LEAD program, EIFEL, Ag in the Classroom, and the R. Flake Shaw Scholarship Program. These programs are well, and I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, Farm Bureau members, that the growth and the vitality of our organization going forward is directly proportional to the effort and to the resources that we put into leadership development. It is crucial. And it is amazing to me how each year we increase the number of volunteers and activities engaged in these program areas statewide. While leadership development is important, we all know that our core mission remains legislative representation for agriculture and rural communities. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning I am proud to report to you that our organization's reputation and influence both in Washington and in Raleigh is as strong as it has ever been. In this year's session of the North Carolina General Assembly, our biggest success was the passage of the North Carolina Farm Act. This legislation greatly strengthened North Carolina's right to farm law. And we felt, and our policy felt, that it was imperative that we respond to the ongoing nuisance lawsuits threatening our livestock industry. Another piece of legislation that was important to Farm Bureau was a bill that would allow member organizations like us to offer health plan options as a member benefit to all of our members. We were not successful in the passage of this bill during the short session, but our efforts are ongoing. And we are working diligently now to give you, our members, better, more affordable health plan options. Now, I want you to do something for me this morning. Go ahead, mark your calendars. The commissioner's here, and I know he's going to talk about it. Mark your calendars and mark them now. North Carolina Ag Awareness Day will be Wednesday, March the 20th, 2019. County Farm Bureaus and Farm Bureau members, I encourage you this morning, and your county farm bureaus, number one, save the date, to organize it, and to budget. And budget to be present on Ag Day 2019. The commissioner has charged me, and he's charging all of you, is hoping for 4,000 strong on that day. And we will have a new legislature in town, and it's important that agriculture show up downtown Raleigh at the Legislative Building on March the 20th. Now, you know, with the election that was just held, there have been some changes, but we have no worries as a farm organization and Farm Bureau where we will be with the new legislature. We have no worries, and we look forward to working with a new legislature in the coming year. We, as an organization, are a policy-driven farm organization. Our policy determines our direction, not the politics. Without the veto-proof majority in the new legislature, we know with the changes there that navigating some issues will take some careful thought and some negotiation. Now, in the current political environment in which we operate, you need to know this. It is not just enough for us to pass legislation at the General Assembly. Now, legislation is often delayed through litigation in the courts. Now more than ever, I believe that we have a serious need for our North Carolina Farm Bureau Legal Foundation. If we ask our legislators to pass an important piece of legislation for us, then we must be prepared to defend it in the court system. And I can tell you, folks, it's expensive. It takes money. I thank our county farm bureaus, our women's committees, and our young farmers and ranchers committees who have stepped up their contributions to our legal foundation this year. At the federal level this year, we gave 12 out of our 15 members of the North Carolina Congressional Delegation the Friend of Farm Bureau Award during this 115th Congress. We award that Friend of Farm Bureau each year, each Congress, to members who have voted in favor of legislation that we support. At least they vote with us 70% of the time. This is important. In Washington, we are continuing to put for passage of the Farm Bill. We know, and you know, that this is a must during the lame duck session of Congress. And certainly from Mark Walker and others, we feel like before this lame duck session adjourns that we will have a new farm bill. That's important. This morning, in addition to talking about the farm bill, and that's important, we're going to get that passed. I hesitate this morning to even mention immigration reform to you this morning. I have spoken on immigration in my comments from this podium every year. I sincerely, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to say this, but I sincerely have my doubts that in the current environment in Washington, that anything will happen on immigration because it is such a wedge issue. You know this, you see it, you hear it. Both sides use immigration and immigration reform to rally their base. They use it to raise money, and then nothing positive ever occurs on this issue. However, we will continue to look for ways to work around the edges on this very important issue to agriculture. Something that we are following closely as it relates to immigration and farm labor in 2019 is the AWR, AEWR, or the Adverse Effect Wage Rate. For our H-2A users, many of you are out there, for our H-2A users, the AWR increase, or the Adverse Effect Wage Rate increase from $11.47 an hour to $12.25 an hour will certainly have a very negative impact on the profitability of many of our farming operations. Our delegation, congressional delegation, Linda Andrews has been there. They're well aware of the hardship that this increase will place on our producers. We have been, and we will continue to be, out front in seeking remedies for this continued escalation of the AWR. This is serious. Now, we all know that Farm Bureau cannot do all of the work, even though we're strong, we have good representation. We cannot do all the work on legislative issues alone. We value the work that takes place within partnerships and coalitions to accomplish policy and regulatory reform. And some of our key partners include all of our North Carolina commodity groups, we work closely with them, our soil and water conservation districts, the North Carolina Chamber of Commerce we work with, the Retail Merchants Association, and certainly all of our government agencies, most notably the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. I can tell you this morning from this podium that not all states, I know it, the commissioner knows it, he's all over the country, that not all states enjoy the cooperation and the united efforts that we have here in North Carolina. For Farm Bureau organizationally, as I said, it may have been the best of times. We had a good year. But in 2018, many of our farmers, many of you sitting out there this morning, have seen the worst of times. Since 2013, net farm income is down 47%, or $58 billion nationally. This year, it's predicted net farm income is going to drop by 11 to 12%. We have an oversupply of many agricultural products, leading to low commodity prices. This has been exacerbated by trade wars and tariffs, and we certainly all recognize that there's a need for better and fair trade agreements, but there is no denying, there can be no denying that these trade wars have had a negative impact on North Carolina and American agriculture. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that it is blatantly unfair that agriculture we always have to take the biggest hit in the midst of trade disputes. Why is this? The ongoing trade impasse with China must be resolved quickly. The importance of the Chinese market for North Carolina tobacco, pork, and poultry cannot be overstated. Certainly the news over the weekend with the president meeting with the Chinese president, and we certainly hope that good things are going to come from that. Immediately, they have indicated in this ceasefire of this trade war that they're going to start buying $250 billion of agricultural products immediately. That's good news. We need that. The ongoing nuisance lawsuits against our pork producers, and you've been following this, have destabilized the hog industry. Our concern on this issue, more than just the pork industry, our concern continues to be the precedent set for many other agricultural operations when it comes to what constitutes a nuisance. As you know, this is an ongoing legal, it's an evolving issue, and we are engaged in and we're following it closely. One thing that has happened as a result of these lawsuits is that these threats have motivated friends of agriculture across our state to support North Carolina farms and farm families. Farm Bureau members, if you want an example of grassroots leadership, you have to look no further than our young farmers and ranchers. They launched a yard sign campaign that made it all the way to the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture. I thank our young farmers for their leadership and their advocacy efforts on this crucial issue. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, this morning we all know there are no words to truly capture the devastation of hurricane season 2018. As farmers, our lives and our livelihoods are determined by the weather. The disasters this year could not have happened at a worse time. In 2014, we suffered losses from Hurricane Arthur. In 2016, we faced Hurricanes Hermione, Julia, and most memorably in 16, Hurricane Matthew. 2017 was a year of low commodity prices, and now in 2018, we have faced Hurricane Florence and Hurricane Michael. When Hurricane Florence hit eastern North Carolina, 100% of all of our cotton, peanuts, and soybeans were still in the field. 95% of the sweet potato crop and 50% of the tobacco crop had not yet been harvested. We are anticipating agricultural losses in field crops, vegetables, the nursery industry, and livestock to be over $1.2 billion and growing. The cumulative effects, the year-to-year effects of these weather catastrophes have left many of our farmers in serious financial trouble. And we're working alongside our Commissioner of Agriculture and other ag interest groups to secure state and federal assistance for those who are suffering. This morning, I sincerely thank the North Carolina General Assembly for funding the disaster relief requests to help farmers that were impacted by the hurricanes. This is a good package. The commissioner has done yeoman's job, and I'll say it when I introduce him. But we must sign up. I strongly encourage our farmers, all of you who live in those impacted counties, to apply for this state relief money before December 10. And you know when that is. That's next week. So it's important. In an effort to provide some immediate help, we established at Farm Bureau the Hurricane Relief Fund through the North Carolina Farm Bureau Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm simply touched and overwhelmed at the generosity of many groups and individuals who have contributed to our fund over the past few weeks to help support our hurricane victims. We have total contributions of over $410,000 given by our county farm bureaus, private individuals, private nonprofits, and religious organizations. Our sister state Farm Bureau to the north, Virginia, has gone above and beyond in contributing to our foundation relief efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, 23 Virginia County Farm Bureaus contributed $1,000 or more to our Hurricane Relief Fund. And you will hear a detailed report about our recovery efforts later. This morning in this report, certainly it can't be because of the time constraints. It's not exhaustive of all the issues or the organizational work that has taken place this year. Just in policy efforts alone, I would encourage you to read through our Public Policy Highlights booklet. You all have a copy or will get a copy, and I want you just to read through that to get a feel for the number of issues that our staff has been involved in throughout this year. We are so fortunate to have a dedicated and professional staff that works diligently to meet our public policy and our organizational goals. I thank our staff for their hard work and their commitment to Farm Bureau day in and day out. Would you help me thank them, please? As I do each year during this report, I also take this opportunity this morning to thank my wife, Laura, for her support of me and of Farm Bureau as I carry out the responsibilities of this position. Laura, thank you very much. I appreciate you and love you. Farm Bureau members, we always, as an organization, we always shine in times of need. Our organization has had a great year, and we can certainly be proud of that. But at the same time, we feel the real pain and the loss that many of our Farm Bureau family members are enduring at this moment. A Greek philosopher once said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." We can be thankful that we're part of an organization where we can come together, where we can comfort one another in times of need, and then we can go to work to do whatever it takes to get the job done and to move our industry and this state forward. We all, this morning, we all look forward to 2019. We look forward to 2019 with hope for a better and a blessed year for Farm Bureau and our farm families all across North Carolina. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.